Good afternoon, friends, and welcome to We Keep Playing. I'm so honored to join you in homes around the globe to talk about the power of sport. I know how tough it is on all of us to stay home, self-isolate, and distance ourselves from friends, family, and the activities of our everyday lives. We all need a little inspiration, motivation, and encouragement during this time. Today's panel of iconic athletes and leaders are gathered to be that inspiration for you. You may have heard me say pressure is a privilege. That is so true today, and the lessons we've learned through sport are helping us to stay strong, determined, and positive in the moment.
Mrs. Billie Jean King of America, the new queen of tennis.
I started the Women's Sports Foundation in 1974 to be the ally, advocate, and catalyst for tomorrow's leaders. We want to enable girls and women to reach their potential in sport and life. I'm grateful to Verizon Media's CEO Guru and his team at Verizon Media and Yahoo Sports. Together with our leadership team at the Women's Sports Foundation, we created this special event to inspire young athletes, their families, and communities. I'm elated that Cari Champion, Condoleezza, and so many phenomenal athletes are giving their time and talent to join the Women's Sports Foundation today. Your leadership shines brightly across the world, and we are forever grateful. And thank you to the healthcare professional first responders, service providers, and everyone on the front lines who are working valiantly to protect and care for us all. Now more than ever, it's vital we encourage and inspire girls to keep playing, keep believing, and keep dreaming. Thank you for coming together during this challenging time to lift each other up. Together, we keep playing.
Hello, everyone. I'm Cari Champion, and welcome to We Keep Playing. For the next hour, we are bringing you a historic live event where we brought together some of the most iconic female athletes on the planet. Yahoo Sports and Women's Sports Foundation are partnering to make sure that you hear these stories, these very candid stories of inspiration. So for the next hour, as mentioned, just sit back, relax, and enjoy as we try to encourage everyone during these very uncertain times. So much for being here. We keep playing. Hashtag we keep playing. Make sure as you're watching, you also encourage us with your messages of how we keep playing. I mentioned that we had a huge, if not amazing group of female athletes. And I have to start first with a personal friend of mine and arguably everyone's heroine, Billie Jean King. Women's Sports Foundation, obviously founder. Thank you, Billie, for being here. One of the greatest to ever play the game and making equal rights for women in sports. Carli Lloyd, the face of the U.S. Women's National Soccer Team. I mean, I'm so excited to have you. I'll calm down, Carli, but we'll get to you in a moment. We got our girl, Sowers. Welcome. Fresh off of a Super Bowl, our very first female coach, assistant coach in the Super Bowl, Ledecky, the most decorated Olympian for female swimmers. And I really appreciate you being here, Katie. It's such a pleasure. Chiney Ogwumike, a former colleague of mine, good friend. Perhaps we'll play some basketball eventually, but we still keep playing. Kendall Coyne Schofield. Oh my gosh. Can everyone just take a moment and bow to this great hockey player, please? Scout Bassett, former Bruin, still Bruin, good friend. Thank you so much for being here. You're a true inspiration. And there we have it. Lovely Sabrina Ionescu. Sabrina, thank you so much. The face of the Oregon Ducks basketball team, projected to be #1 in the WNBA draft. Sabrina, you had an amazing year. We'll get to all the things that you were able to accomplish. But again, on a more sober, somber note, but still trying to stay uplifted, we are here because we want to talk about COVID-19. And I think that our new norm is something that most people had a hard time coming to grips with. And the reason why we are here today is to share these conversations that still inspire people during these tough times. I start first with Billie Jean King. Billie, when did you realize that COVID-19 was our new reality?
Well, for me, Cari, it was on March 8th of this year, 2020. I was down in Melbourne, Australia, and we're watching the Women's World Cup of Cricket. They had 86,000 people. It was full. It was amazing. And all of a sudden we got a text that they had canceled the P&B Open in Indian Wells, which was exactly where we were going to be going. Mm-hmm. And I knew then that it was going to be a whole different world, and that things were going to start being canceled, and we're going to have to start changing our lives forever.
It's interesting that you mentioned Indian Wells being canceled. Prior to that, obviously, the NBA decided to cancel their league. And with that, I bring in Chiney Ogwumike. I want you to tell me the moment you knew that this is serious. The world, if you know it is different.
It was abrupt. It really was abrupt. I was supposed to go in and work SportsCenter the next day, breaking down the NBA, but then a huge moment happened. They started canceling games as games were still going on. And so at that moment, it became super real, especially for me, because a lot of those NBA players, the younger generation, those were guys that I know, Donovan Mitchell, Rudy Gobert. So hearing this, literally, it's like, that's the first person that we sort of all knew collectively in the sports world where COVID-19, it's really coming close to home. And then ever since then, I was in LA. I got the call from my mama. My mama was like, it is time for us to gang up together. Because, you know, during times like that, you sort of remember your family, your team, your original team. And so just dealing with it with my sisters back home here in Houston, I think we remain optimistic, but we also know this is a reality that we must all face.
Yeah, you talk about your mother calling you, and that's when you know it's real. She's like, come home, because we all need to be together during something that's a really tough time. Katie Ledecky, the most decorated Olympian in swimming. Can I talk to you about when they decided to cancel the Olympics? I think that really hit home for a lot of people. You prepared for 4 years, and then you were told that's it. What was your first reaction when you heard that the Olympics were canceled because of COVID-19?
Well, they actually haven't been canceled. They've only been postponed. So
yes.
Yeah. So thankfully, I was very, very grateful that that decision was made, and that we'll still have the opportunity to showcase all the work that we've put in. And it's tough that it won't be this summer, and that we've been working all year and for 4 years for those moments. But I'm really relieved that that decision was made pretty early on, so that we can all follow the guidelines. And once we're able to get back into full training, we'll hit it hard and get ready for next year.
Hit it hard. I love the positivity. Carli, I have to ask you, are you feeling the same way? We got to hit it hard and get ready? Or how were you able to adjust to our new norm?
Yeah, it was crazy. We just concluded our She Believes Cup. We finished a game against Japan in Dallas. And when we finished the game, this new norm became the norm. Everything started to get canceled. We were finding out NBA players were, getting the coronavirus. So things started to get really real. And then there was that week or 2 week period, 3 week period where everybody was kind of wondering, it was the elephant in the room, whether the Olympics were going to go on this summer. And I think that they were kind of pushing to see how this was going to be. Thankfully, they are not canceled. You know, I was a little concerned about that because I did hear that there could be the possibility. They're just postponed now for another year. And, you know, I know that there's probably so many athletes that may not be able to be a part of it in a year, and there's all different circumstances, but I'm really looking forward to it because it's more time to prepare in another year. And it'll be, it'll be great. It'll hopefully rally the whole country and, just make things a lot better than they have been.
Carli, that's a really good point. It gives everyone an extra year to prepare, right? If you think you need it, that's great. You have this extra time. I have to bring in Sabrina because when we talk about preparation, anybody who watched basketball this season, especially women's college basketball, saw that you were beyond prepared. It was really special. You had a wonderful season. I most recently saw you at Kobe Bryant's memorial, and I thought to myself, wow, this is amazing to see this athlete here and be so well-rounded and have so many wonderful things to say about the game. How have you been able to prepare during our new norm?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it was devastating just knowing that that's what we've been preparing for as a team, this last year and losing last year in the Final Four. There was more fuel to the fire this year to get to that national championship. And obviously heartbreaking to have to finish my senior year, not being able to play and not be able to have an NCAA tournament. But it is an issue that's a lot bigger than basketball, and there's people that are dying and people that are struggling. And so kind of having that perspective and understanding that it's a blessing to be in the position that I am, and hopefully be able to play at the next level and play professionally is kind of helped me through this. So just continuing to work on my game and really do everything that I can in this off time.
Yeah, continue to work on your game and playing. That's the theme of what we're talking about. I gotta be honest though, guys. Sometimes, like, I just want to have pizza and tacos. You know, I don't want to do it right. You know what I mean? I don't want to get up and do yoga or run. I just want to have pizza and tacos. So I got to talk to Scout. Help me out here. Talk to me about your nutrition, your diet. Has it changed? I'm sure you're still doing the right things, Scout, but has it changed in any form or fashion? And have you had pizza, more importantly?
No pizza. I'm lactose intolerant, so I don't eat pizza. But it definitely has changed a little bit. I'm definitely finding myself eating a bit more comfort food. But actually, this has been cool because I've found some more time to be able to create some of my favorite dishes from my homeland. I'm Chinese, and so it's been really neat for me to try some of that for really the first time.
Yeah, that's great. You know what? Fine, lactose intolerant. I wish I was. I didn't have to have any pizza. Kendall, many of us are being put in situations that are different. You are married, and your husband plays in the NFL. And I always think it's interesting, Kendall, when we have people who are, especially two athletes who marry. I would think everything in the house is absolutely competitive, like even a game of darts, even who can get to the refrigerator faster. Talk to me about being quarantined in the house for these last few weeks with your husband. All right, so Kendall has to take the mute button off. It's such a tough. There you go.
Sorry.
We're on the internet, folks. All right, go.
It's it definitely has been tough, but I think in order to keep each other honest and keep each other going through these times, we've definitely relied on each other. There's some days I wake up more motivated than him and vice versa, and we kind of rely on each other for that motivation. But going through these times, if there's a group of people that know how to adjust and know how to adapt to a situation, it's definitely athletes. And I think on all the best teams I've been on, you have to do your role to the best of your ability. And right now, that role is staying inside and appreciating the work of all of those who are on the front lines of this disease and doing their job, while ours is to stay inside. So yes, we definitely have our moments of competitiveness, whether we're stick handling or he's doing some football work, or we do bike workouts in the morning and we try and beat each other's time. And so it's definitely helped keep each other motivated for sure.
Yeah, I love that. One has to motivate the other. Billie, we are going to wrap up in a bit here, this very first segment. So I want to give you the last word. During this time, you've decided to put together this esteemed panel, which I think is amazing. What is the biggest takeaway? What do you want people to learn from these athletes and yourself as we sit here for the next hour or so?
Well, I hope this will help each and every person who's watching, will help them through these trying times, these difficult times, especially the families on the front lines. But I also want them to think about the future as well. I know when we started women's professional tennis 50 years ago, the way you know it today, that there was 3 things we wanted. Number 1, that any girl born in the world would have a place to compete. Number 2, that she would be appreciated for her accomplishments, not only her looks. And number 3, the most important one, I think in some ways, to be able to make a living. And many of these athletes still do not have the dreams and the opportunities that I think that they deserve. So I hope that today will inspire everyone, but most importantly, stay safe, distancing, wash your hands, all the things, and to appreciate, and we're in New York. We're right in the epicenter here in the state. So the thing is, we love 7 o'clock at night. We go out and hit pots and pans to thank all the frontline workers and appreciate every human being is going through this together.
I appreciate that. Wash your hands, ladies and gentlemen, everyone joining us here. Later, we'll be able to talk to every one of you here on the panel individually. We also, this is so exciting for me. I don't know about you, Condoleezza Rice will be joining us to talk about how sports actually changes her life and keeps her motivated. And then we want to make sure that everyone understands that, as Billie just mentioned, this is a really important time. So now I'm going to give it over to the CDC with a special public service announcement. back. Thank you so much for staying here with us again. We Keep Playing, organized by the Women's Sports Foundation, Yahoo Sports. You guys are joining us. This is a huge event. Billie Jean King, everyone's hero, is here with us. And we are talking about how we're coping with this pandemic. And again, these are challenging times. I am so happy to welcome Sabrina Ionescu. She is the Oregon Ducks star. You just completed arguably one of the best college basketball seasons we've ever seen, projected to be the #1 pick in the WNBA draft. Sabrina, thank you for joining us again. And look, I think that, I don't know, I'll start with the easy stuff here, or maybe it's not so easy. We're less than, a week, I guess, away from the WNBA draft. You're in the mix of so much going on with our world. How are you feeling and coping?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot going on. I wouldn't say that I'm bored during this time, but I'm just trying to stay busy and honestly work on, things that I might feel like I'm too busy, during the year, whether it's yoga, whether it's reading, and just trying to stay on top of my schoolwork as well, because this is my last quarter of school. And so just trying to stay busy and definitely grow during this time.
Yeah, trying to stay busy. A routine keeps you sane. I have to ask you this, though. Like, I've heard this story over and over again from rising seniors, graduating seniors, whether it be on the collegiate level or on the high school level. What was the feeling of not being able to perhaps complete in a tournament, walk across the stage, be honored in the traditional ways because of COVID-19?
Yeah, heartbreaking, to be completely honest, especially playing in that last game. We all were excited and didn't think it would be our last game as a Duck. And so just realizing that was the last time that I'm putting on, my jersey, that was the last time that I'd be with my teammates. And that was ultimately why I returned for my senior year, was to be with them. It's kind of a hard pill to swallow. And I don't think I'll really be able to get over it for a long time. But everything happens for a reason. And I'm just so blessed to have no regrets through these 4 years that I've been at the University of Oregon, through practices and games, really giving the game and the team everything that I had.
Yeah, well, and that's the positive attitude, because everyone watching today looks up to you, I'm sure, and looks for ways to stay inspired during these times. I remember listening to you at the Kobe Bryant Memorial, and you shared words of wisdom which he gave to you in terms of how to be a better player. His daughter Gigi was a huge fan of yours. Can you talk to me about what that felt like to be there at the memorial and speaking on his behalf and the relationship you all had?
Yeah, it was an honor. Obviously, it was difficult having to play that exact same day, and so that was something that was hard to do. I wasn't even able to make it out, to warm ups, just because of all the emotions that I had going through that day. But it was an honor being able to be there and speak on their behalf, being able to see Vanessa and the family. It was humbling, and that opportunity is something that I cherish and hold close to my heart.
Yeah, that was huge. I have to bring in Chiney for just a brief moment, because I know you were also there at the memorial. It was such a great room to be in terms of some of the greatest who play the game in every aspect. And the beauty of the memorial was highlighting women's sport. I thought that was purposeful. Talk to me about your biggest takeaway and how, in fact, the WNBA game is being honored.
Yeah, I mean, being a part of that memorial was just tremendous. Really proud of Sabrina voicing, the voice of young athletes, WNBA players prospectively. Also Diana Taurasi being there. And if you notice in that memorial, the women spoke first. Women led the charge. And I think that was largely Vanessa Bryant's choosing. And I think that's the direction society is moving, just elevating and betting on women. That was our mantra as a member of the WNBPA as we went through our CBA agreement. But honestly, I didn't know what I was going to expect going into that memorial, as I saw you there. And I think we were all blown away, because Kobe transcended sports. He just was a figure that we all wanted to and aspired to be in that greatness level in life. So to this day, I can't even put it to words, but we're really proud of you, Sabrina, for holding it down for us women's hoopers. Yeah,
you know what? So from a projected #1 WNBA pick to you, my friend, you were #1 overall pick in 2014. So you're a seasoned Grizzly vet, right? You're seasoned. You're Grizzly. I don't know. Sabrina, can you dunk on Chiney, or should we not even?
Don't try.
No.
Look, Cari, we're Pac-12. We stick together, right?
We stick together.
Okay, all right. You guys love one another. I'll leave it there. So what advice would you actually give to Sabrina as she's getting ready to go through the same process that you went through?
So it's kind of nuts because we are in abnormal times, right? And sports is typically what brings us all together, and we're not even able to be together in this probably biggest moment. You'll probably feel like it's the biggest moment of your life because you literally worked your entire life to get to this point, and you deserve it. You deserve all the accolades. You deserve the whole jersey moment, but we're going to have to be creative given the abnormal times. But I still think, with the WNBA draft coming up, it'll still probably be the best moment. Like, quite frankly, when I got drafted #1, I blacked out for about 7 seconds. I was like, nuts. And your heart's gonna be beating out of your chest until you hear, your name, which I'm sure is gonna come early, if not the earliest. So it's gonna be a fun moment. And then I remember Nneka sort of slapped me like, come on, Chiney, wake up. And that's when it became real. It was all surreal. So I'm just really glad that we'll be able to welcome you to the fold, even if it's virtually through an appropriate social distance. Just enjoy it and soak it all up, Sabrina.
Okay, Billie, I see you laughing and enjoying this. Is this not what it's all about right now, listening to these two young ladies go back and forth and what has come so far, and the vision in which you actually helped provide the dream for women in equality?
It's great when I see all this camaraderie, and it reminds me of the old days when I was like them and being crazy and talking about the players. And then, they're living the dream. That's what's important. I love the fact they have these opportunities and they're going for it. And also they have a platform for leadership.
A platform for leadership is, Billie, the understatement. I have so many young kids who have obviously fan questions for all of you, but Chiney, I have to send this fan question out first, and I want to get your response on the other end of it. So let's take a listen.
Hi, my name is Zoe Toby. I'm 9 years old and I live in Los Angeles. The question I have for you today is that if you had to switch places with anybody on the panel, who would it be?
Wow, that is, first of all, Zoe, I love you. I love you already. You're in LA. Zoe, if you see this, I got tickets for you and your family at the next Sparks game in Staples, okay? On me. If I could switch with anyone else on the panel, obviously I'd probably pick my mentor, Dr. Condoleezza Rice, just because she's seen some things, she's done some things, and I like to be in the mix and see those things and know what she knows. But if it had to be probably an athlete, I got to go with my girl, maybe Carli Lloyd, just because the U.S. women's national team has been kicking booty. We have to be appropriate, but been kicking booty and on the biggest stages. I mean, I know basketball is on the come up, but soccer has always been there. International football has always been there. So for them to walk that walk and then talk that talk and then have that gold medal and bring it back and then on top of all of that, turn up, like no one can stop them. I would love that experience. So that is my answer to your question, Zoe.
First of all, I like Zoe. Can she join the panel? Meantime, in between time. Again, Chiney Ogwumike, thank you so much, my dear friend. Kendall Coyne Schofield, it's your turn. So let's talk about it. One of the best female hockey players in the game and some nice Olympic hardware to back it up. So Kendall, what have you been up to during this tough time?
So I've been staying inside, social distancing as we're supposed to be doing. But my husband and I have really been focusing on our foundation and helping out those in our community while we can. I would have been competing in the gold medal game yet last night in Halifax, Nova Scotia for the Women's World Championships. And as those were canceled, I'm in a place where I wouldn't have been. And so this is actually the longest we've ever spent together in our home. And so we've been really focusing on our foundation and, helping out with the food pantries in our town and just trying to give back where we can. And you know what, at the end of the day, we're doing a lot of workouts in the morning, walks when we can, and, spending time with our families that we usually don't have because we're both competing in sport.
It's interesting. I saw that you posted some really great IG videos of what you are doing. And I think people, believe it or not, during this time, social media, while some of us give it such a hard time, has really helped people through this. When you think of We Keep Playing, what does We Keep Playing mean to you?
I think you can interpret it in so many different ways, whether it's you're playing with your whatever sport it is, a soccer ball, basketball, a hockey stick, a football, whatever. You can still find a way to keep playing and stay active, whether it's in your basement, it's in your garage. It's it's in the backyard with your mom or your dad, you can keep playing. But in addition, if you don't have the opportunity to do those physically, there's so much on TV right now that you can watch old sports games. And I think I've been enjoying that. And it's so important to know the history of your sport and to learn the history of your sport. And I think it's a great time to be able to do that, because I'm watching games and learning so much about the game that I didn't know before. So I think you can keep playing in that way as well.
Okay. And you know what I noticed? Like so many women here on the panel, we're all leaders in our own rights. You were definitely a leader in your Players Association. Talk to me about some of the fights or what you all are fighting for, and what would you like to achieve for your league?
Yeah, so it's just so inspiring to be on this panel right now and hear the WNBA draft. I know it's next Friday, the 17th. I'm looking forward to watching it. And as someone who's a part of women's professional hockey, I watch that draft every year, and it's something in a vision that we inspire to have one day, to watch women graduate college and to be drafted and handed a jersey and to see a franchise based on merit and to make a living playing this game. You heard Billie talk about that. And so a year ago, 200 players formed the Professional Women's Hockey Players Association. And our goal is to fight for a viable and sustainable professional women's league that affords players the opportunity to make a living doing so. And we have not seen that in women's hockey, and we're fighting for that. And we've been very, very fortunate to have the leadership and guidance of Billie Jean King. And I know we're not far off, but it needs to change. And right now, the professional landscape of women's hockey is a disaster. And so until we can change that and look at young girls and show them what the dream is about, and that dream is growing up and being a professional athlete and making a living doing it, our goal has not been met.
Yeah. Billie, what advice would you give Kendall as she takes on this fight?
Well, we've been working with the women's hockey, and I think that the PWHPA has done a great job. The important thing is they got an association organized. That is number one, because now they have one voice, and that's what you need. Same with the WNBA, they have one voice. You have to have those opportunities. We have the WTA, for instance, in tennis. So we can negotiate with one voice, which is so, so important, and also provide services for the players. But we have to keep sticking together as one voice. That's the main thing, and they have done that with the PWHPA, and Kendall's been a huge part of that along with others. But they have to keep trying to get this infrastructure organized that you can have a league, a proper, sustainable league, and make a living, not where you still have another job.
I love it. Make a living, because that's all we want to do in this world, and continue to do the things that we love. All right, so with that being said, Kendall, it's your turn for the fan question. Let's take a listen.
Hi, my name is Tierney Denny, and I'm 6 years old. And I have a question for all the athletes. What sports did you play? What other sports did you play?
That is a great question. Growing up, I played many sports, and I would encourage all young kids to play many sports. And I played 2 sports until my sophomore year of high school. My favorites were softball, baseball, and basketball.
I love it. Okay, so that means that if in fact you want to play basketball with Sabrina and Chiney, once we get out of this situation, you know what we can do? We can have a one-on-one, I don't know, game of horse, whatever we feel like. Meanwhile, guys, you mentioned this person earlier, Chiney, and she's a huge fan, and I am so a huge fan of sports, and I'm so honored to even be able to have her in our presence right now. But we're talking about this person, former U.S. Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice. She sat down with Verizon Media Group's CEO. Take a listen to what she had to say about how sports really does help.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Guru Gaurapan. Such a privilege and honor to be here with former Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice and now Professor Stanford for joining us to have an important conversation around We Keep Playing.
Thank you. I love being here, and thanks for having me.
Great. The first question, Secretary Rice, is why did you want to be a voice in this conversation today, and why do you think it's an important conversation to have?
Well, I really do think we need to keep playing. Even if we can't be on the fields and the rinks, we can keep playing in important ways. I love playing sports. I have great respect for athletes who train at the highest levels, particularly intercollegiate athletes. And there's one other really important reason, and she's called Billie Jean King. She's really been my friend and my heroine for a long time.
What advice would you give to the young athletes who have now found their lives upended when you think about during this crisis time? What are you doing personally to cope up with this difficult time as well?
You have to keep perspective about those for whom this is a much bigger crisis than for any of us. Most of us are fortunate to be healthy and to have friends and family. So keeping that perspective is important. And then most importantly, I have a schedule. I don't allow myself to sort of just drift through the day. I did that the first couple of days and it didn't feel very good. And so I get up and I work out and then I work, and later on in the day, I practice the piano. I'm a golfer and I actually go out in my backyard and I chip and putt. Then I go for another walk and I try to be with friends on video at the end of the day. And so I think actually those of us who've been competitive athletes know how to keep a schedule. And that certainly helps in circumstances like this.
You talked about golf briefly, and you're an avid player, of course, you love it. So talk us through how that's going to evolve during this time frame.
I would have been at the Masters this weekend, and so it's a little bit sensitive. I think we're all feeling the absence of it. But the thing about golf is it's actually a sport that requires a lot of patience, and I'm learning patience from it and discipline. And while I'm not able to play it right now, I do something else that I think might help all athletes. I try to visualize. When I was a skater, I spent a lot of time just before I was going to compete, just sitting and visualizing myself doing the moves perfectly. I think that's actually a good way to quote unquote practice right now when we can't be out on the practice field.
So you've been an amazing trailblazer in many different arenas, being the first or one of the first women in the US to be given certain opportunities. What was the most meaningful or memorable first for you?
I remember one experience in particular when I was sworn in as the first African-American Secretary of State. I was sworn in under a portrait of Benjamin Franklin, and I was sworn in by a Jewish woman Supreme Court Justice, Ruth Bader Ginsburg. And I remember thinking, I wonder what old Ben Franklin would think about this. And I think he might have even liked it. So for me, the first that we all experience, it's great to think about it personally, but it's more important to think about how far we've come as a country and to keep pushing those first so that we can keep progressing.
Thank you so much for sharing amazing insights, and I'm going to pass it back to the show.
My initial reaction to the IOC officially postponing the Olympics was, I still don't think I've digested it. I think it's obviously the right decision and something that we all can stand by because of everything going on in the world. But to see such a huge decision be made, I think puts everything into perspective of what's going on. Majority of these athletes have spent their entire lives training for this 1 month in this 1 year. For a gymnast, training to peak at a specific time can take years. So you're progressively and foundationally building your skill set year after year after year. And you have to, as any athlete, an elite athlete would do, you have to have these dips and flows of intensity with training and rest time and letting your body heal and then pushing. All these athletes have that same structure and that same schedule that benefits their sport. So now with everything restructuring and not knowing when that peak time needs to be, they have to figure out how to recalibrate their bodies and their sports. And so it's just everything's back up in the air that they have to recalculate.
The truth. Everyone, and personal story, obviously, once we learned that the Olympics was postponed, probably felt mixed emotions, especially the athletes. But it was the right thing to do. Sean was so great. Thank you so much, Sean Johnson, for joining us here on We Keep Playing. Katie Ledecky, I have to start with you. I know that I heard that one of the main reasons that they were able to postpone the Olympics was because so many athletes didn't have the proper places to train. We talked about what happened when you first, or your reaction when you first learned it was being postponed, but how have you had to adjust your training regimen so far?
Yeah, it's a great question. I haven't had access to normal training facilities. I'm not able to train in the weight room and with my trainer and my teammates and all of those things. So I've just had to be adaptive to the circumstances and use the resources that I do have. I think all the athletes around the world have to take responsibility for their actions and really follow the guidelines. And I'm hopeful that my fellow Olympians around the world are all doing the same thing, and that we're all able to focus on what's important now, which is staying inside and doing our part.
Yeah, and doing your part is sharing your story, which we appreciate. And guys, I just want to remind the folks at home, this is TV on the internet. So my dog Coco is barking, and she would like to also be a part of said conversation. She's a female athlete as well. She loves to swim, Katie. I won't let her get into this conversation. Excuse her barking. So talk to me about other aspects of this in terms of when you talk to other Olympians and they know that the Olympics are postponed, what do they look forward to when it's able to finally come back and they can do what they've been wanting to do for these past 4 years?
Right. Well, for swimming, we know that our Olympic trials will be held next year in June. They just announced those dates a couple days ago. So I'm happy to have something to start shooting for, but we still have a lot of meets that we want to have between now and then, and we want to resume normal training. So it's kind of hard right now to plan things out, but we're doing the best that we can right now, and you can only control what you can control. So just take it day by day and try to win each day, really.
That is a message. You can only control what you can control, and that's arguably your reaction. And you've been so poised during this entire time, so I appreciate you. Talk to me about some new habits or possibly some hobbies that you've been able to dive into during this time of quarantine.
Well, I've been very lucky. I'm actually still a student at Stanford, and so I just started some spring quarter classes this past week, and it's been really great to keep my mind active and really continue towards my degree as well and do something very productive during this time.
Yeah, productive. Ladies, I'm sure everyone on this panel, because we all like to be productive, are still being very productive. With that being said, Katie, you want to hear from a fan? Should we ask a fan a question? Okay, let's do that, guys. Let's get a fan question, and Katie will respond on the other end.
Hi, my name's Zoe Gotzer. I have a question for Katie. Katie, I'm a swimmer. How do you become an Olympic swimmer?
Oh, Lily, that's a great question. I'm going to send you a swim cap. It's something that when I was your age, I never dreamed that I would become an Olympian. I might be one of the few swimmers that would say that, but I never really set it as a goal until it became more of a reality for me, when it became real and that I could potentially do it. And so I would encourage you, Lily, just to set some goals for yourself. And you're just going to start setting higher and higher and higher goals. And maybe one day that next goal will be to go to the Olympics. That's what it was like for me. And I know that any young girl out there can achieve that kind of goal if they set their mind to it.
Oh, I love that. All goals are possible. If you see it, you can believe it. Thank you so much, Katie. And now turn to Carli. Speaking of the Olympics, Carli, earlier you said, Carli Lloyd, the face of the women's soccer team. You said earlier that you were happy that the Olympics were postponed. And I hate to mention age because I feel like age is nothing but a number, but you told USA Today Sports that exact thing, and you're turning 38. Why were you happy that you've got a little extra time?
Well, I think, for the sport of soccer and myself as an individual, it's not as detailed as maybe other sports where they're progressing and they have to peak at a certain time. There's a lot of athletes and a lot of teams that haven't even qualified for the Olympics yet. We have, which is great. But, I try to find the silver lining in everything. And for a soccer player, you do find those periods to be able to peak. But we weren't there yet. So for me now, it's another year to be able to prepare, to be able to push the boundaries, the barriers of becoming more fit, stronger, to better my game. And I'm excited about it. Plus, it gives me another year because I didn't think I was going to be ready to be done after this year. So I get another year to play. And yes, everybody's talking about the age. It's a year later. Not going to make much of a difference because I'm feeling at the top of my game and feeling really, really good right now. So.
Yeah. Okay. So I like that idea. Again, I'm thinking like, you know, Jay-Z had a song like 40, 70, 30, 20. Am I saying it wrong or right, Shanae? I'm not sure. Okay. But the point is that you feel good. Here's my next question. How's your training changed?
I'm actually in a great position. I know there's a lot of athletes who are struggling to find places to work out. My coach mentor here in New Jersey, James, he's got his own facility. So I'm thankful that I'm able to go in there and really work on my game. And I'm able to, you know, work out in our gym that we have in our basement as well. So I'm actually set up really, really well. I probably, this period of this pandemic that we've been going through, I probably have had the best training that I've ever had in my entire career. There's nothing to worry about. There's nothing on my schedule. I literally go train. I'm getting more fit. I'm getting sharper. And I'm just able to kind of spend my whole mind on this task of just training and getting better. And I don't feel rushed. So I'm trying to soak up every ounce of this time because I don't know that we'll ever get time like this. Hopefully we don't ever again. And just trying to make the most of it.
Okay, I love that. You have everyone here again on the panel has the most positive approach. I have to talk about your team. Everyone in their own individual right. I called you the face, but you're one of the many faces. In your own individual right, you've been so amazing. The team, though, it is a powerhouse of women. Talk to me about how you think you guys will go down in history.
I think it's just been this evolution, you know, someone like Billie Jean King kind of, you know, starting the culture and pushing boundaries. We have the 1999 team who won the World Cup that I was actually at one of the games watching them play and thinking to myself, this would be unbelievable to be able to play for my country. You know, you've had those players back then to push the barriers and make things better. They've made the sport better than when they entered it. And that's really what it's all about. And we've pushed on. It's been a culture in place since the start of this team. And it's just evolved over the years, and very proud of the team. You know, we've got a lot of talented players. I've been a part of this team for 15 years, which is crazy and hard to believe. And it's been amazing. You know, so many amazing players coming through, so many up and coming players, former players. It's just been a culture that has really never been able to be broken.
Okay, I love that, and it's so true. So your turn. Fan question. Shall we not have a fan question for you? They're the best part of this. You guys, not the best part, because you guys are all amazing, but I love these fan questions. Let's roll one.
Hi, I'm Vanessa, and I'm 9.5 years old. Carli, my question for you is, do you have a favorite goal that you've ever scored?
I love it. Favorite goal, I would probably have to say the 2015 goal from midfield is probably the most memorable goal. I wouldn't say it was necessarily the best goal that I've scored, but it's something that I haven't done before, and it was very special to do it on that stage.
I love it. Okay, so having said that, is there any other, because we've been talking about this before I let you go, you kicked that field goal. So what are should we be looking to see you doing more in the NFL, or talk to me?
Who knows? I think everything's kind of up right now. First and foremost, I'm focusing on soccer at the moment, but I've always been, you know, a kid who loves a challenge, and I never back down from any challenge. And I know with proper training and the right technique and someone showing me how to properly kick, I know that I could do it. So it may have to get pushed a year or so. We'll see. I know the times right now are a little up in the air. So we'll see. I'm not ruling it out. You never know.
I'm not ruling it out either. And neither is Billie and every woman on this panel, because Billie's like, yes, today, tomorrow, let's do it. Speaking of field goal and football, this is someone that I've known for a while. And I actually, her intestinal fortitude is something that is special. She leads without just walking in the room. She leads, and I'm talking about the 49ers assistant coach, Katie Sowers. Folks, I'm going to take you behind the curtain so you can find out a little more about Katie Sowers.
One day, a woman will be hired as a coach of a men's professional team, and it will not be a headline. Katie Sowers, offensive assistant coach for the San Francisco 49ers. So I first started playing football as early as I can remember. My twin sister and I would play every single day after school. We would love to beat up on the boys. From a young age, I always kind of thought that football was not for girls, so it was never anything I considered until, I found it later in life and kind of had a second chance at my first love, which was football. It wasn't until I started playing tackle football and then saw Becky Hammon in the NBA when it all of a sudden hit me that I could do this. And I posted on my Instagram back then when I was coaching an 8th grade football team, and I said, NFL, I'm coming for you. And little did I know that was, actually gonna happen. When I first walked into the facility as an NFL coach, it was one of those surreal moments where it was like there were flashbacks of everything that I had hoped for, had worked for. Looking back, I always knew it was going to happen, as cheesy as that sounds, but whether it was the belief that got me here or whether it was just true confidence in myself, I'm not sure. Those times of, when I had just hoped I was going to be a coach to then walking through the doors and knowing that it was happening, it's something that I think we all strive for in our lives, no matter what it is, whether it's an NFL coach, whether it's a teaching position. And it's those moments where you realize everything you've worked for was worth it. The more we look at struggles as building blocks, the more success we'll find. It's not how women lead men, it's not how men lead women, it's how we lead people. I truly believe that the more that we allow people to be themselves, the more success we find as a community. Me personally, I always just loved football. So to prove not only to myself, but to everybody is that you can love something, and regardless of what society says is normal, you can reach for it. The more that I can show that to younger generations, not just young girls, but young boys, that's my why, that's what keeps me going. I think the future for women in sports is that one day a woman will be hired as a coach of a men's professional team, and it will not be a headline. It will be normal. And the kids who are growing up right now will wonder why we ever even talked about this, why this was ever even an issue, why we ever even questioned that a woman could lead men.
No question. Why are we even questioning it? Katie Sowers, thank you so much for joining us. Katie, you and I have a history, and I adore you. You know that. I'm also a little scared of you, only because you're like, why not, Cari? Do everything. And I'm like, okay, well, I should. Why aren't I doing everything? Thank you for joining us. Let's talk about that. Coco wants to join in too. If you guys have dogs, it's okay. Everyone's dog should be barking right now because this is TV on the internet. Katie, talk to me about the Super Bowl. I was there. I know it was a tough loss. Shout out to Hannah Gordon because I hung out with her, and she is a huge, huge leader in the organization there at the 49ers. They do such a good job of bringing women on and making sure women lead, and you are doing that as the first female coach in the Super Bowl. Talk to me about the loss, how you pick yourself up, and what you've been doing since then.
Man, what an experience, from the highest high to the lowest low. It was something that I'll remember forever. But I know, with anything in life, any obstacle we face, it's part of our story. And I know that that's not the end of my story, and it's not the end of my player's story. It's not the end of any of the other coaches on the coaching staff. It's just, it's part of our path. It's part of our journey. And so, it's something that you deal with and you move forward.
You have always been of the belief of the kind of person that I know you as is, why does it matter? And you said it in your introduction package here. Why does it matter that I'm a woman? I want to get to the point that we don't have to say I am the first. When you look at your position and what you've been able to accomplish, what changes have you made? Do you feel as if what you've been able to accomplish has set the tone for what should be the future?
I think there's so many women out there that are doing their part to create an avenue for all different types of people. And I wouldn't say that I'm doing more than anybody else. And even all the male coaches, everyone brings something different to the table. And that's what makes every team so special. Me being a female is just part of my difference that I bring to a collaborative group. And, when you can recognize that and you don't, pinpoint just one thing, you just know that your differences combined make a greater good. That's what's truly important.
Yeah, it is. It's hard to do a show remotely with so many wonderful, amazing women, and I think we're all doing a very good job of it. I know it is even more difficult to try to pick a draft pick, remotely, virtually. Talk to me about what you all are doing in the front office there for the 49ers to keep the momentum going. You guys want to go back to the Super Bowl?
Yeah, I think this is a time where you'll see a lot of the teams have the amazing leaders, and we're lucky to have amazing leaders with John Lynch, with Kyle Shanahan, and it's been quite the experience doing everything remotely, doing everything, looking at a computer screen and seeing all of your coworkers on that screen, as everyone I'm sure can relate. You have your fun with it, with the virtual backgrounds and everything. I had some Tiger King up for a little bit. It was pretty great, but you have fun with it, because at the end of the day, like we heard earlier, control the controllables. And there's only one thing in our life that we can control, and that's our attitude. And that's the only thing we will carry with us. And so we create our narrative. And when that narrative, we
need people like you so we can see it to believe it. And you've been such an inspiration to so many people and continue to be so. And every athlete on the show. I mean, it's just, I don't know about everybody out there that's 9, 10, 11, 12 years old, but I'm thinking if I were a kid again and seeing all these athletes, I would just jump out of my skin, because I loved basketball. I loved all team sports. I just got into tennis at the end, but it's like, oh my God, this is just heaven for me. And I hope this is helping all the kids out there emotionally and mentally, really get them revved up for the future.
Yeah. You know what, Billie, you're right. Thank you again. I have to keep saying thank you for putting this all together.
No, thank you, Cari, and everybody. It's so wonderful.
Thank you. All right. So listen, this story, I'll try not to drop any of my tears on this one. Paralympic track and field athlete and world record holder. Let's bring in Scout Bassett. You are someone that I have been a fan of, and you're so kind. Like, you literally lead with your heart. I need you to talk to me about how you would describe yourself in terms of your intestinal fortitude. I've used that word before, that description before, but how you've been able to achieve so much in your life.
Well, hello. I'm such a huge fan of you, a fellow UCLA Bruin. I would say, I have gone through a lot of really difficult hardships in my life, some unthinkable challenges and trauma. And for me, I'm very fueled by my faith, and I have been able to overcome so much of that just by the will to continue to push forward, to overcome, to survive, and most importantly, to use my platform and these opportunities for good and for change. So I'm just so grateful for, so many people have supported me on this journey when I've had nothing, and have really helped me to become something. So I'm super grateful for that.
You talk about, and that's a message that you lead with for young girls to know that you're saying, no matter what, push forward. But you, to me, have always been a trailblazer. I have to talk to you about the ESPN body issue. For so many people, just being themselves is hard to do. You did that, and I think you changed the game in terms of how people view themselves and loving themselves and encouraging themselves. Talk to me about that experience, the message that you wanted to send to young girls.
Well, gosh, I am just like any other woman. There's things that I think there's so many women that are insecure about certain things about themselves or their bodies. And, obviously I have a physical disability, but I lost my leg being involved in a fire, and I have burns from my waist down. And that was such a bold thing for me to do, to put myself out there and so vulnerable. But I did it because society has told people with disabilities to hide their disability, to hide those scars, that to not have it seen. And I think in particular, women with disabilities have largely been viewed as it being a deficiency or being a flaw or a weakness, whereas men with disabilities have largely been portrayed as heroic or bionic and celebrated. And I wanted to do that to show the world that I am a woman and I can, I have a disability and I can have burns and scars, but I'm just as powerful. And that those things don't take away from my strength or from my beauty or for what I stand for. So it was probably one of the more bolder things I've done, but I haven't regretted it at all.
Scout, where do you find your inspiration?
Gosh, I find my inspiration from a lot of the kids that I mentor and I'm involved with. Growing up as a young girl, I did not see people like myself in mainstream media, on TV, on a billboard, anybody with a disability. And so I grew up feeling very alone and like maybe that I was sort of this outlier in society. And so why I do what I do now is just so many young girls that I've been able to mentor and show them and guide them the way and show them that regardless of what you look like or where you come from or what's happened in your life, there's nothing you cannot overcome, you can't achieve, or that you can't be. So I'm really inspired by the young girls in particular that I get to help along their journey.
I'm Team Scout all day. One shirt, fellow Bruins. Sorry, guys. A clap. Sorry. A clap. Guess what? We got a fan question for you. So take a moment and listen to it, and then when we get back, I want you to respond.
Hi, my name is Wiley, and today's my birthday. I'm turning 8, and I have some questions for you. How do you run that fast? And does it hurt when you run?
That is such a great question. Thank you so much. I will tell you, it takes a lot of hard work. It takes a lot of dedication to be able to run with a prosthetic. I think something that people don't realize is that for me to run, it's not like going to the local sporting goods store and you order a pair of running shoes and you're out the door. It's a much more laborious and challenging process to get this prosthetic blade and fitted. And but it doesn't hurt. It's not to say that there aren't struggles or challenges in running with a blade, but I have been able to adapt my body to be able to keep going and to push through the pain and the difficult times. So thank you so much for your question.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Scott, thank you so much. Scout, thank you so much. Okay, guys. So listen, I've talked to each one of you individually. You've been patient, you've been kind, but I can tell you right now at home, there are young girls deciding what they want to do with their lives based off of every single thing that you have been able to say to them today. You are inspiring everyone. And I have to tell you this, Yahoo Sports, while it is the voice for everyone, Women's Sports Foundation has served as the inspiration headed by our very own Billie Jean King, because you are America's own Billie. I want to take a moment to just pay attention to what people think about We Keep Playing.
Now more than ever, it's vital we encourage and inspire girls to keep playing, keep believing, and keep dreaming.
I keep playing to be the best that I can be and help inspire others to do the same.
I keep playing for all the girls who need a reason to believe that all things are possible.
I keep playing to show others that they can play too.
I keep playing for the love of the game.
I keep playing to continue to inspire others.
I keep playing with passion and with my goals in sight.
That isn't easy.
I keep playing because it's a great way to stay healthy mentally and physically.
I keep playing for the next generation so that they will have better opportunity than ours.
I play because I champion equality.
And there we have it. You keep playing because you champion equality. Billie Jean King, I have to start with you. This is, guys, we got a few more minutes left here, and I just want to get your final thoughts. Talk to me, Billie, specifically, as you sit on this panel, and you, by the way, are the trailblazer, the pioneer, if you will, and you look at all of these women. What are your thoughts on the future of women's sports and where you see us?
Well, I think it's more about, we're a microcosm of society. So to me, it's we're never going to have equality. until every person can have the same dreams, rights, and opportunities. And all of us have a chance here. Every single one as a leader has a chance and has a platform to keep pushing forward for the future generations, because I stand on people older than me as well. So I think I reach out to them as well. People like Althea Gibson, who I admired so much and changed my life. So I just want to thank everyone and just keep going forward.
I love that. Okay, so I got to talk to you, Chiney. You've been sitting here. Also, I got to let the folks know at home you've been enjoying guacamole and chips because we are doing TV at home. Your thoughts about We Keep Playing, and what are the words of encouragement you want to share with everyone?
You gonna just let everybody know I was just having a nice old snack?
We're at home. We're not in the studio. We're at home, folks. The life is what it is. I got my girl Katie listening in Sowers, and then I have Katie Ledecky paying attention as well with her eyes, maybe texting somebody. Who knows? We're at home. Everybody, here's the secret. We're all quarantined. What do you
No, this is why I love you and respect you. And honestly, thank you so much, Cari, for being the hostess with the mostest, because you have always been, we talk about where society needs to go. And one thing I've realized is that I think in 2016, when we almost had our first female president, we really had a new refound motivation as women to make things happen. That's when you saw the U.S. women's national team go out there and talk that talk and walk that walk and win a World Cup. That's why you see U.S. women's hockey team fighting for one league and also backed it up by the winning, in the Winter Olympics. That's why you see the WNBA negotiate an amazing groundbreaking CBA. The list goes on and on. You saw U.S. women's gymnastics literally take down an abuser. I think at that time, we as society have just sort of realized that, hey, as women, we don't need to be competitive anymore. Right now, we are all collaborative in achieving what we want. And that's the direction we're heading. And that's why it's so cool, because a lot of people in this conversation today, I'm already cool with. That's because we are harnessing everyone's collective power. So we just getting started, as the kids say, the young ones say, you're a young one too. Cari, my sister from another sister. I also want to say thank you for you, because without you and Billie Jean, but particularly you, I'm talking about off the court, there would be no me. So I'm gonna just keep 100, and I'm sending you my heart tear.
You guys, I'm dropping bug tears. I'm doing a heart too. Oh my gosh, collective tears, guys. Like, I appreciate you. Chiney for president. Kendall, I got to talk to you. You are in a sport, as you mentioned earlier, that doesn't get a lot of acknowledgement. Where do you see what hockey will do for female players in the next generation with your help, obviously?
Yeah, I think what Chiney just said absolutely nailed it on the head. You look at this group and we're all fueling each other. We're learning from each other. We look at the CBA agreement that the WNBA just came to, and it's a vision for what we can create in hockey. Yes, we might be 20, 30 years behind other sports, but we have a vision, and that vision is so strong that when you look at a little girl and she says, I want to be you one day, you look back at her in the eye and say, no, you don't. I want you to be better than me, and I'm going to make this sport better for you. And I think a lot of us have come to the realization, yes, our goals and dreams have always been gold medals and first place and being the best in your sport. But I think in order to be a champion in your sport, you really need to make the game better than when you entered it. And I think that's the collective message through everyone on this conversation today. And I think the theme that really has hit home for me listening was each one of us have said we need to see it to be. And of course, our champion Billie Jean King said that years ago, and it's held true to this day. And so we all know that we need to be visible, we need to be out there, and we need to be accessible to these young athletes to show them that if they see us, they can be us and they can be better than us. And I think that's what to me is so important to champion, is to leave this game better than we entered it. And women's hockey, there's a lot of work to do, but you know what? We put our hard hats on and we go to work and we dig that foundation.
Listen, Kendall, I don't know if you go to church, but I have pulled out the collection plate. And I'm going to go ahead and drop $2 in because that was a message. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? That was a message, my friend.
Thank you, Cari. I'm just glad I learned to hit the mute button this time.
More importantly, Sabrina, you've been playing since you were 3 years old, and Chiney said she welcomes you. She's happy to have you. But listen, there are young girls looking up to you like Gigi Bryant. Talk to me about where you see the game going.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy for people that have paved the way for me, and hopefully I can do the same for them. So those younger generations that look up to me for inspiration, and now Gigi and some of her teammates that are up there watching down on me, they're someone that I want to inspire, but now they inspire me to work harder and be better and keep breaking down barriers for women in sports. And so I'm just excited to have that platform and hopefully be able to do that at the next level.
Yeah, that's everyone trying to work to do it at the next level. Again, I'm so honored by everyone here on the panel. And Katie Sowers, we spoke to you just a moment ago, and you have made it plain that, again, Billie says you don't need any words of encouragement. She's just so proud of you. But when you walk away from this event today, if there's one message you want to have, what would it be?
So if there's one message, well, first of all, can anyone view my tape from college for like the WNBA draft? Am I still eligible? Because if we go back a little bit, small colleges, it might be like grainy film, but my skill is still there. You'll be able to see it, just in case. But my message is truly, so when I was little, I remember dreaming of playing in the NBA because there was no WNBA. And I never thought twice about it until there became an option in the WNBA. And, right now we don't talk a lot about women's football, but there is a sport of women's football out there. And right now they're dreaming of playing in the NFL. And I would love for them to dream of playing in WNFL or, a league that actually makes a living. So I guess my advice or, anything that I can just pass on a message is basically when you're walking down a store, get rid of all the stereotypes. There's no girl aisle. There's no boy aisle. There's no girl McDonald's toy. There's no boy. We are in this to find each other's passion, regardless of what barriers we put around people. So check yourself is what I would say. We're all talking this language continuously in front of our kids, and they're listening. And so listen to the words you're saying, and are you being inclusive? Because we need to change the narrative.
Yeah, change the narrative, and I'm gonna hold on to that word change, and I'm gonna go to Carli. Katie Sowers says change the narrative. Carli, how do you think that you and the women's soccer team have changed the sport?
I think obviously we've been very successful over the years on the field, but I think more importantly, what we're doing off the field has been so powerful. We're empowering so many other women across the globe to fight and to push on and to make things better. It's happened within the world of soccer, other international players, pushing on to get better collective bargaining agreements and better treatment. And, we're seeing a bit more investment amongst some of those organizations in the women's game. And when you see that when you hear that investment, you're seeing the product on the field. It's helping, and so we need to continue to do that for women's soccer. But I think every one of us, we've been so powerful as one, and we've been inspirational by winning and doing all that. But most importantly, for what we stand for and just how hard and brave we've been off the field.
Yeah. Bravery, I'll take it. Katie Ledecky, it is my turn to chat with you. We talked about the Olympics being postponed, and you said you are happy, as is Carli Lloyd. Talk to me about what you'd like everyone to take away from this panel.
Yeah, I'm so inspired listening to all these athletes talk today, and I've looked up to so many of them and have enjoyed cheering them all on when I watch them. And I think what I would encourage any young athlete is, you can look to us and look at how we perform and all of those things. And I appreciate that. I really love that. But one thing that I always like to tell young kids is to look to other heroes in our society. I don't want to be looked at as a hero. And I think especially at this time, it's really important that we recognize the true heroes in our society, all those medical officials, researchers, doctors, nurses, all on the front lines, and really pay them the respect that they deserve. I think we're all on one team through this, and we just need to keep cheering each other on, both those in society and each other as athletes. All that being said, I'm feeling prouder and prouder every day about my ability to speak my mind. And I feel like all these athletes are achieving great victories, both on the field, court, rink, pool, wherever it is, and also out of the athletic sphere. And I think we have somebody today in Billie Jean King who, you know, perhaps some of her greatest victories have come outside of the realm of sports. And I think she's really paved the way for all of us to not be afraid to voice our opinions and really make a difference.
Katie Ledecky, thank you so much. Scout, as we close out, talk to me about what you feel you've been able to learn from this panel, especially from our heroine, Billie Jean King, and what you want people to learn at home.
Gosh, I feel like, you know, as dark as this time has been for so many people and hardships, I hope that people take away so much good that can also come from this. One of the things that, you know, I'm really wanting to be, you know, more conscious of is that more important than winning records or medals is what we're doing for other people and how you're encouraging somebody else. So I just want to encourage all the young girls, you know, that are out there. If you're watching this and you're struggling, or perhaps your spirits are low, or maybe you're even depressed, to take the opportunity to do something for someone else, because that's the very first thing that lifts your spirits and can totally lift your mood and your mindset. So one of the things that I'm doing is partnering with a campaign called Hunger Not Impossible, because I really wanted to give back in some way. And it's an easy text-based application that connects your local community with restaurants that feeds kids and families in need during this time. So whatever your passion is, find something to do during this time, an organization to give back, to serve, because we can all do something, even if it's something small.
Okay. I really appreciate you. I'm Cari Champion, Carli Lloyd, Katie Ledecky, Katie Sowers, Sabrina Ionescu, Scout Bassett, Kendall Coyne, Chiney Ogwumike. Ladies, thank you so much for joining us. Billie Jean King, you have the final words.
Thank you, Cari. You are a champion on and off, whatever. We're going to, whatever you're doing.
Yeah.
For the dog. Thank you for your added information. And the future is so bright when you listen to every single one of these iconic athletes. And I'm so proud. And I just, I can't wait for the future. And I just hope it's helped everybody out there. And also, obviously, this is about COVID-19. And we've got to make sure that we are thankful to the people that really matter right now. So God bless everyone. Thank you very much.
We keep playing. Thank you for joining us.
We do. WSF, let's go.